Having gold is a luxury. Selling gold is also perhaps a little bit of a luxury. When you see all-time highs for gold, who is actually going to buy it at that price? It can be quite difficult to do, as was demonstrated this weekend when even below spot price gold struggled to sell. So, who's going to buy it if things really do take off and go to the moon? Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. So we saw all-time highs for gold last week in UK pound terms, as well as various other currencies around the world. And if, like me, you've got a nice box of gold or silver lying around, then perhaps you may have been tempted to sell some of that gold over this last weekend. Those high prices might be quite attractive to some people who are looking to cash out and take a profit. Now, there's a lot of arguments to be had, of course, that keeping hold of the gold that you've got is probably a better move than selling it. But at the end of the day, there are people out there who will want to sell to cash in on those profits. But was it as easy as a lot of people maybe think it might be? I saw a whole bunch of gold up for sale this weekend on places like the Silver Forum and other marketplaces in social media land. And below spot price gold just was not selling. Now, some of that gold was, pretty garbage products. It was not particularly great gold, but at the same time, it didn't sell. And gold is meant to be this super liquid thing that just is always there and ready to go at spot price. But it did seem like that was a bit of a struggle over this weekend when we were experiencing all-time highs. So the bigger picture question is, if you are ready to sell those gold coins and silver coins, if silver indeed went to those high highs that we're told it might do one day, then who's going to buy your gold and silver? Are you just going to be stuck holding all of this metal that does absolutely nothing for you? There's a lot of things to unpack in this video, and I hope you will enjoy it as we go. So please do feel free to comment down below with your thoughts and opinions, and don't forget to hit the like button. It does help our YouTube channels an awful lot by hitting that thumbs up. So let's dive in. Who's going to buy your gold and silver? Well, a lot of people will say dealers will buy it. Well, this weekend, dealers are closed. Any weekend, quite frankly, most dealers are closed. There will be some local coin stores that are open on weekends, and you can perhaps go into there and look to cash out your gold and silver. But often you don't get the best prices when going to local coin shops. They have their overheads to factor in. They're not there as a charity. They're not there as a business specifically to cash you out. They're there to make money for themselves. So if I was running a bullion shop, and I don't, but if I was, I would have been quite wary about buying a load of people's gold on a weekend where we'd seen all-time highs happening at the back end of the week on Friday. And this is, of course, down to the escalation of everything that's happening in the Middle East right now. But then with some hope on the horizon from the Middle East over the course of the weekend, it didn't take a rocket scientist to really understand that perhaps there would be a pullback in gold prices come open on Monday. And indeed, that's what's happened. We've seen a good 20 or 30 pounds an ounce for gold pullback in prices. And whilst that's, of course, not certain to continue, and there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of these things, the world is a complete crazy poo fest right now, and there's a lot of arguments to be had to keep that gold. I certainly wouldn't have been looking to buy at those all-time highs locked in over the weekend. And if I was a coin shop, I would have been saying, well, look, I can't give you more than, say, 95% of it, because I think first thing Monday morning, we're going to lose 3 or 4% on the spot price alone. And that's absolutely fine. And it's not, as I said, a charity. It's a business for them to make money. And that's one of the difficulties. So what are the other options? Well, I did see, as I said, a bunch of gold put up by individuals over the weekend on the Silver Forum, and it didn't sell below spot price gold. Some of it was really not particularly nice gold in that it was the secondary market sort of sovereigns are made by really shady and crap third-party mints, and they're sold at 2 times, 3 times spot price to unsuspecting people, and then they get a huge shock when they come and they try and sell it for spot or below spot, and it doesn't sell. So those are always bad coins to get. Another example would be a 100-gram gold bar. Whilst this one wasn't necessarily a public example from this last weekend, I, as a bullion retailer for other people, so I run a backyard bullion buyers club, as I call it, where people can sell their goods on the second-hand market with me as an intermediary, send it to me first, I check it, I sell it. Very, very, very impossible to, I was going to say very low risk, but I think there is absolutely zero risk of being scammed in that service. So, there's a lot of people who were inquiring at these all-time highs, and I would be saying to them, well, look, there is this hard market right now, and right now on the weekend prices are locked at, I think it was 16.35 an ounce, something like that. But come market open, that's going to drop, and I'm not going to get your bar until, say, Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I think it's going to be a really hard sell. A 100-gram bullion bar is not something that I think I could sell very well on my Bullion Buyers Club. Even though I've got over 1,000 people on a newsletter, I think that there is not really a market for those kind of products. There are much more demand for fractional gold, for bullion gold that is coin form, so it's capital gains exempt. So, the guy, I just was quite frank to him. I said, look, I can probably get you just like 97% of spot price, maybe a bit lower. I don't know. You'd be better off going to a dealer. He inquired with a few dealers, had a look online, and a lot of the dealers were only offering 95%. And that's, again, based on the spot price when they receive it. So it's one of these like real lulls that lulls you in that you see on one of these big bullion websites. They go, we'll pay you, 98% of spot for your gold bar. And you think, yes, I'm going to sell that, 16.35, brilliant, cash, done. But actually it will happen probably today when they get the gold in, and you'll end up with, a lot less than you perhaps thought. So it's one of those kind of quick liquidity things, which is difficult. Now, one of the surefire ways that you can get quick liquidity with gold is to be a very reputable seller. And I'm in a fortunate position that if I was in a bind, if I was in a real pinch, I could probably put up some gold below spot price on my YouTube channel or on my social media platforms, and people would probably pay me over a weekend. I'd have that cash in the bank for an emergency if I needed it. But that's a luxury position. That's not a standard position for everybody else out there. I would be, there are other sellers that would probably experience exactly the same as me, and they'd have those situations. But that's, again, privilege from where they've put in the hard work. If you're just a random Joe blogs on the internet person and you're trying to get, a gold coin sold, 1,500, 1,600 pounds, let's call it, there is no way that anybody in their right mind should be sending 1,500 or 1,600 pounds without any assurances or protection as a buyer to some randomer on the internet. And we've seen, unfortunately, a example of that happening over on the Silver Forum. This last week, we have this whole week, in fact, we've been talking about a scammer who's been sending sweets out in the post to people who've bought silver off him. And that really sucks. That stings. And if, by the way, there are any of my backyard bullion ramblers here who are also members of the forum, go and check out a link that I've put down below to a little sort of appeal that we're doing where we're getting donations if you want to. There's no pressure to do it at all. We're not here to say that you have to, but there's a little appeal to go and try and help these people who have lost literally £900 per person, and it's awful. Any donations are welcome and can be sent on to the people who were scammed. So it sucks, but it does happen, unfortunately. And as individuals on the internet, we've got to be conscious of that as our exit strategies. I've harped on about exit strategies so much since I started making YouTube videos. In fact, one of the reasons I even started making YouTube videos, in the back of my mind anyway, I never really thought I would need it, but was to have an exit strategy, to have a presence, to have this profile that people could rely on and understand and know that I am genuine and I am not going anywhere. I have too much to lose. I love doing what I do and I love creating what I create, and I wouldn't want to risk that for anything, quite frankly. There are people out there who will sadly ruin things for everybody else, and I hope that that is a rare occurrence. It certainly is from my perspective on the Silver Forum. I haven't seen anything this bad ever in my tenure there. There have been examples of other people who've scammed individuals on that platform, but it's an incredibly rare occurrence. It really is. And it's also down to one's own sort of due diligence as well. And it's very important to remind people of that. And this is kind of the crux of the matter here. If we're in this situation where, like we're told with all of these big YouTube channels that are doom and gloom about gold and silver in the world and everything's going to go to $1,000 an ounce or whatever, it's important to remember that if we are sensible, in these times of crises, we can best protect ourselves. Yes, gold and silver are great, but let's be quite frank, if the whole world financial system collapses and we need to all rush out and buy gold and silver, it's going to be a very, very strange world, and we're not going to survive, in all honesty. So just bear that in mind. Gold and silver are not going to fix anything when it comes to those kind of scenarios and situations. It's nice to have them beforehand to be prepared, but as you see things rising, it's not necessarily great to jump on those bandwagons. The trick with any investment, trick with anything to do with gold and silver, is to prepare for those eventualities. And sometimes that means buying gold and silver when the prices might seem quite expensive to you. I remember buying gold and silver when it was £1,000 an ounce, up from 900, and thinking, well, that's quite expensive. And then £1,200 an ounce, that was quite expensive. 13, 14, £1,500 an ounce. I've bought bullion gold straight from the Royal Mint at 16, 17, I think the most expensive from the Royal Mint bullion product was 1,700. That's a lot. But in 30 years' time, that could very much be on my benefit. So lots to unpack there, and a lot of issues, I think, for people that maybe they haven't thought about. If you're sitting on a bunch of gold and you're not worried about it because you're never going to sell, that's great and good for you. But if you're the kind of person that wants to sell your gold to cash out and make a profit, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? It is not easy to do, and people are a bit blasé about it, going, it's gold, I will sell it. It is very easy to do. I don't know why I put an accent on to do that, but the point here is that it's not. It really isn't. So do bear that in mind. Now, if anybody is watching this and they're concerned about selling some of their stuff and they maybe want to look more into how my intermediary service works, then please feel free to email me. byb@backyardbullion.com is my email address. That is also linked in the description box below. And if you're a buyer and you want to buy gold and silver right now at better prices than the dealers will be selling at, then we can offer great products at great prices. That's it from me. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.